So for the introduction, just giving some basic definitions. Obviously, you probably know what major depressive disorder, or MDD, is. As well, alongside major depressive disorder, you have persistent depressive disorder, or dysthymia. This is generally going to be a lesser form of depression that is still very noticeable in people's lives, but they are not in such deep depressive episodes as people with MDD are. People with MDD obviously tend to have severe sleep disturbances, weight issues, hormonal imbalances, and of course the usual worthlessness and anxiety problems. So treatment for both of those, which I will talk about in a future slide, is relatively the same. A probiotic, however, is essentially a wide spectrum of different supplements that are used in order to they help the digestive system through implanting many different species of bacteria into the gut that are needed for healthy digestion, or if not needed, then they at least aid it. I show you which bacteria is used in the study, which I'm gonna mispronounce this, but Lactobacillus acidophilus, Lactobacillus cesae, and Bifidobacterium bifidum. And yes, they're very often used to treat, or not used to treat, but as a supplement to help people with IBS or IBD, alongside other conditions. So the current treatment of depression and why researchers are thinking that the effects of the GIST tract can impact someone's mood disorder. So currently with depression, you're going to be treated with SSRIs, of course, and MAOIs, and occasionally mood stabilizers or antipsychotics. Those who have a comorbidity, as in an anxiety disorder, like general anxiety disorder, social phobia, or PTSD, a trauma and stress disorder, those often will have other things taken with it as well, like a benzodiazepine or an anxiolytic. Alongside medications, MDD patients generally get treated through forms of talk therapy, generally CBT, other forms that I give an example here with EMDR, more so usually applicable to trauma, but can be used just in general for anybody. Over time, research has been suggesting more and more that there is a connection between the stomach or gut and the mind, or the digestive tract in general, the colon, the different parts of the small and large intestine, and liver and everything. There are many different reasons to suggest this. One of them is the hormonal imbalances that you can run into. There's cortisol dysregulation that can cause some insulin resistance, which is mentioned in this paper, alongside of just generally struggling with different stomach problems can just further exacerbate different disorders, and of course weight issues from things like anorexia, binge eating disorder, or just straight up not having enough energy due to sleep disturbances and just general exhaustion from depression can make it hard for people to eat properly. Because of this, researchers have decided that trying to help treat these stomach issues people can face, or making sure that there's no or less hormonal imbalances, can be really beneficial to depressed patients. The objective of the study was to conclude if probiotics are a potential option to help patients with MDD, and to improve the general health of the gut microflora. The study also was testing the efficacy of probiotics on glucose homeostasis, lipid concentration, biomarkers, or other signs of inflammation, and oxidative stress. wasn't sure if you wanted a null hypothesis. I didn't see anything about that, but I do know we talked about it in this course. So the null hypothesis, of course, is that there is no effect of probiotics on MGD symptoms. And of course, the alternative hypothesis is that probiotics will have a therapeutic or positive effect on major depressive disorder symptoms, insulin resistance and homeostasis, oxidative stress, lipids, and inflammation. Participants, there were 40 diagnosed MDD patients, 20 in the control group, and 20 in the experimental/probiotic group. 17 women and 3 men in both groups. All were assigned to groups randomly, double-blind, so neither participant nor researcher knew which group each participant was in. Study design and methods. The study only lasted around 8 weeks. The probiotic received the strains I mentioned earlier, and this also shows the amount of different bacteria in a capsule, and the placebo group only received a capsule containing starch. The dietary and activity, the current diet people were on and their activity levels were instructed to remain the same, to not increase nor decrease it to the best of people's ability, and people had to report this 3 times at intervals of 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks. Body weight was taken at the beginning and with the BMI calculated. They did the testing through having each person take the Beck Depression Inventory, a 21-question questionnaire taken at the beginning and end of the study. Multiple choices 0 through 3. You wanted a lower total score. Fasting blood samples were obtained at the beginning and end of the study, centrifuged first in at negative 80 degrees C, and then put through testing. Other factors tested was a quite long list, but fasting plasma glucose, triglycerol, total cholesterol, very low density lipoprotein cholesterol, low density lipoprotein cholesterol, and high density lipoprotein cholesterol. These tests were done through commercially available kits. Also tested was the HOMA-IR and HOMA-B, in other words, the homeostasis model of assessment of insulin. And also the quickie, I'm assuming that's how you say that, the quantitative insulin sensitivity checklist. Check something. The results was that the weight and BMI had no real change in the end. HOMA-B and the quickie were on a trend to have a significant difference, but they didn't have one at the time of the study. The actual things that really did change was the significant decreases in serum insulin concentrations and HOMA-IR, the insulin resistance. You can see both of the amounts there. The decreased BDI, the Beck Depression Inventory. However, it was noted that this was not true in all studies that did this. Same or similar method where they tested depressed patients with probiotics, so whether or not that makes a difference in the end kind of depends. They also noted that on another study that was conducted, it had no effect on schizophrenic patients. There was increased plasma glutathione levels and decreased serum hsCRP, or high-sensitivity C-reactive protein. All of the other effects were not found to be significant, so everything else I mentioned so far, they just didn't have enough evidence to support it, especially there's at one point where they sort of tried to fix some differences between people's general weight and BMI, and when that happened, even more of the results they did get were decreased even to be not significant. So here are the different results. The conclusion is, while the study did show a decreased level of depression among taking the probiotics, it's inconclusive of whether this is actually going to be a real way to treat it, and even if it was, it would need to be treated with other things that you do with depression, like talk therapy and other medications. Thank you.